This time on Kawaii-Fi Radio, we ruin Aaron's new ninja manga. Is it about ninjas?
Well.
Or is it about moon people?
She asks the real questions. Tifa gets rejected. We'll just have to go over to Melbourne.
I love you, Tifa, but I don't know about that. We got Starbucks here now.
And we talk about the incredible film Look Back in this rather tangent-filled episode.
Look back.
Look Back! We're looking back at the origin of Starbucks. No, so Look Back is a one-shot manga.
It's over 9,000!
Nani?
Configure the language logic interface for Japanese.
Kawaii-Fi. Kawaii-Fi.
Kawaii-Fi Radio!
Konnichiwa and welcome. Wow, that was terrible. Konnichiwa and welcome. I stumbled there. You tune into Kawaii-Fi Radio, the podcast we dive into the world of anime, manga, and Japanese otaku culture. I'm Kyle. With me is with Aaron and Tifa. I can't use my words good today. Yep. That's the show. We're done. It's over. Like, cut the music. It's over. Like, you know.
Yeah, home time.
There we go.
Great
Done.
job, everyone.
Well, this is fun. See ya.
In all seriousness, it's look back time, and I don't mean like looking back on the year. It's the film Look Back. Yes, I did that last time, and no one got it. So Look Back is finally available on streaming services worldwide. The primary place you can catch it is Amazon Prime. It is a beautiful short film. It's about 50 minutes long. It's by the creator of Chainsaw Man. Wow. Yeah, that's like we've got a lot to say on this. There's a reason it's kind of blown up a bit and why everyone went, wow, this looks really good. But before we get into that, we are going to talk about manga for a slight change of pace because none of us have been watching anything apparently and just reading everything. I lie, we have been watching stuff, but you know,
talked
like,
about
You don't
it
want to hear
before.
us talk about Dan to Dan for the 15th time.
right, like, or Yakuza Fiance, which just keeps getting better, or Rama and a Half, which remains beautiful. The new one, you know what we're watching this season now. If you listen to any of the past couple of episodes, but look, if you are new to the podcast, welcome. We are also on YouTube where you can watch us going hello as well. So if you're already watching us, hello, press the like button and do the things that do the algorithm. Do an algorithm. So all of our links are in the episode description. We'll talk about that later for anything you'd like to do to join us. But let's get started on what we have been watching.
I have no idea how old I am or where I came from. Daddy! Ohio!
Take time! I gotta go!
I have to know! Hooray! I did the thing!
Oni-chan, nani wo miru? What we're watching and reading. Because, yeah, we're all reading. I should have said reading. But look, this is a very special what we're watching / reading manga episode. Because all three of us have been reading manga. And, I mean, we normally all do. But this time we've all got something interesting to talk about that we all want to share.
It's the bookworm special.
Yeah. Oh, we need to do that anime. I should add that to the list. There's the girl who's like the bookworm. And
Sentence of a Bookworm?
Yeah. Oh, well, there's that.
Too many.
And too many bookworms. Why are you all
Wow.
reading books? How dare you? He says reading manga. But there's another one where it's they used it in AMV Hell for read a book.
Oh,
yeah. Read or die.
Yes.
Read or die. We need
I
to have
had
a look
the
at that.
DVD of that back in the day.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, but yeah. Look, anyway, well tangented
What,
already.
Like 06?
06, 07. Yeah.
I remember because I went to JB Hi-Fi, I bought a copy of that, and I bought a copy of Shadow the Hedgehog on PS2.
Aw.
Man, that's. I have an emulator set up for PS2 now, so I've got Sonic Heroes and I'm very happy. Sorry, what was it called? Read or Die. I'm just adding that now to our future
Shadow
podcast.
the Hedgehog.
Shadow the Hedgehog games.
By Snapcube dubs.
It's the year of Shadow. Anyway, look, Aaron, we will start off with you because you've been reading Shinobi Undercover, which is a relatively new shonen series.
Extremely new.
Yeah.
I think we're just up to chapter 10 now.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Is it about ninjas?
Well, wouldn't you like
Or
to
is
know?
it about
would.
moon people?
She asks the real questions. She does.
Not yet.
Not yet.
So basically, it's about this shinobi who is undercover.
No way.
Wow. And he's sort of very socially awkward.
Oh, yeah.
But his mission is to befriend one of the girls at a school. So they deploy him to the school and they're like, yeah, you have to go become friends with her. Go have fun with that. And he's like, I know how to shinobi. I don't know how to friend.
This sounds a lot like Under Ninja.
Really?
That's how it starts, but this will be less awkward for sure. Because, Under Ninja's like, hey, you've got a ninja assignment. It's at a school. You have to befriend this girl.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty easy genre to break into.
I mean, it's also the same for Full Metal Panic as well. He's not a ninja, but he's a military boy, and you have to go to the school and befriend this girl and protect her. So...
Well, yeah, so he's got to protect her, but then there's other shinobi who are protecting her as well. Like her female best friend and the guy who they're trying to get to be her boyfriend. Like they're basically puppeting her whole life with these shinobi.
This sounds like witness protection.
Essentially, yeah. But they have no idea, none of the shinobi know what she's done. However, there are a bunch of, what do you call the rogue ninjas?
Ronin?
No,
Not
Ronin.
Ronin. That's Samurai Without a Master.
Basically a bunch of ninjas who have defected keep trying to break into the school and kill her, under the guise of other students or teachers. So they don't know who's an enemy, but the three of them are close friends. And basically it's just this girl being completely oblivious and trying to keep it that way whilst protecting her from these rogue
And
ninjas.
we have no idea why they're trying to get her.
No idea why they're trying to get her. And, to become a rogue ninja, you have to break away from your shinobi organization, which takes a lot of skill because obviously they're shinobi. They're great at hunting people.
Yeah. So that means all these people who did break away are actually really good.
Exactly. So, it's not oh, yeah, just rogue ninjas just, dropping in and easy to kill.
Katsuki.
Yeah. They're all very talented. And, the first proper fight that happens, the female best friend breaks her arm.
Ooh. Okay. So it's a bit darker. It has a focus on the actual results.
Yeah.
And the actual ongoing damages.
Yeah. It's not like Bright Orange Ninja. It's actual, you have to remain hidden ninja. You have to blend in.
Yep.
So a bit darker, say similar Jujutsu Kaisen style.
I would not say that dark.
Not that dark?
No.
Okay, that's good to know.
Because there's a lot of moments where he's just like, ha ha ha, I'm an idiot. And then they're like, you're allowed to go full ninja. And he's like, dead.
So, Chainsaw Man?
No. It's very...
Is it very violent?
No, not particularly. There's no real blood or...
So definitely kind of sits in that comfortable traditional Shonen Jump style.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I mean, Kishimoto supported it, so...
There you go. So Naruto's creator, yeah. Okay.
I wonder where we got that information from.
Thanks, Tifa. On that note, Tifa, you've been reading Kagurabachi?
Yeah, Kagurabachi. Yes.
When you first mentioned this, I thought it was to do with Bachi, the guy who's the wrestling dude and the really super muscly because of the Bachi.
Oh my
and I know
God.
there's the version of that which is primordial and he's got the teeth and all that. And I'm like, is this a third spin-off?
God.
No, it's got nothing to do with it.
Every time I try and say Kagurabachi, I always in my head say Kakeguri, which is the gambling
gambling
one,
girls,
and
yeah.
that's a completely different thing.
It's a very different thing.
I love that word association takes us all different places because mine is Sandra and Kagura.
Okay, very interesting.
Maybe.
No, definitely not.
On that note, there's a new Dead or Alive beach volleyball coming out. It's literally on the anime news page of ANN.
Wow.
It was apparently announced along with some collab sort of thing. It's all right, here we go. Dead or Alive is no longer a fighting game, folks, just so you're aware. Anyway, so what is Kagurabachi about?
So this started, I think, at the beginning of this year or last year, probably at the beginning of this year. And it's about a guy named Chihiro, and he is the son of this swordsmith, and this swordsmith created 6 like katanas. Like he creates all these beautiful katanas and everything, and he's trying to teach his son how to create katanas that are worth something, but also that these obviously can take lives, and it's really important to be making weapons for the right reasons and not for the wrong reasons and all that kind of stuff. And he made these 6 kind of like sacred swords that have spirits in them, so basically they allow for powers. And these swords are kind of known to a fair few people because they were used in a war, basically. But once the war was over, he retrieved all the swords and he kept them kind of under lock and key. But when the kid is like 15 years old, his father gets killed and these people take the swords. And he kind of has to figure out how to get them back. Like, obviously he doesn't have to, but he feels the need to. And this is like a 15-year-old kid, but there's actually a 7th sword as well. And this 7th sword
is the one sword to rule them all.
It like embodies the spirit of the person rather than having its own identity. So he uses this sword, and that's where the like goldfish motives come from, because those are his inner spirits, and it would probably be different for another person as well. So
they're his stand.
Yeah, and then we kind of do like a skip forward 3 years. So he's 18 years old now, and we see that things are a lot darker, obviously. And that's like in the first chapter, it skips forward that to that, like him being 18 years old now. And you can see that obviously he's taking this very seriously, but he's gotten nowhere over the past 3 years because he's a kid and now he's an adult, and there's a lot more that he has access to as an adult, and it's more of an adult story than traditional Shonen Jump story. It is Shonen Jump and it definitely has those elements, but at the beginning you're kind of like, oh, okay, this could be like most other Shonen Jumps where they are directed at a younger audience because the main character is younger, but then he becomes 18 within the first chapter, and there's a lot of blood, a lot of violence, and yeah, Shonen
Jump's really kind of upping its age bracket ever so slightly, isn't it? Like...
Yeah, I feel like this... maybe it's because the author himself, he's only 24 years old, born in 2000. You can tell the influences on this work because you can tell it feels like Naruto, it feels like Bleach, it feels like Jujutsu Kaisen and Chainsaw Man, and he has said that those are inspirations, and you can kind of see that in his work. Like he's taken every single shonen that's come before him and created something using all of like those elements as well.
Of it, yeah,
and then also like elements of like Kill Bill or Quentin Tarantino films and like other like film inspirations rather than just anime specifically. So yeah, it's quite interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out. And I think there's about 50 something chapters out there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Shonen Jump app as well, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Yeah. Same as Shinobi Undercover because it's been done with Shonen Jump. So there you go. Well, I'm going to tell you guys about something horrible. So I've been reading Terraformers. That's TERRA space FORMARS. It's about terraforming Mars.
Oh, now I get the pun.
Yeah.
Oh, it makes so much sense.
It's also the Terra for Mars as well, as in TERROR. So what's happened in this story? This is a sci-fi sort of weird one. It is not going to be for everyone. I almost dropped it because I just... Yeah. Humanity decided they wanted to terraform Mars, and they genetically engineered a moss which can survive in the low atmosphere environment, and genetically engineered cockroaches to then feed on the moss and help create biodiversity. They sent both of those there to Mars. After 500 years, they started their first mission. The cockroaches are humans. They're humanoid. Sized, and it's that. Really, I don't like it either. And because obviously they have evolved on Mars to like the environment, you can go out there and breathe, but it's like very low atmospheric, so it's like you're up a mountain instead. So everyone who gets sent there gets slightly genetically engineered as well, so that they can survive without needing a spacesuit. So the first story. It's kind of set in across 3 different stories. So you have like a one-shot, which was the original idea, and then the one-shot actually ends up becoming like the prequel for it. And that's like the first group going there, and they all get slaughtered by these giant humanoid roaches because they've basically scaled up the power of a bug to the size of a humanoid, and it's bad. So then, and the main manga itself then starts off with them following a group which goes 15 years later on the second mission, but all of these people have had what's been referred to as the bugs surgery, where they have genetically engineered them to have the powers of bugs. So like the guy from Japan has got the Japanese murder wasp, and like he can, like when they inject themselves with the stuff, it brings out these latent abilities, and they kind of transform into these sort of humanoid monsters, but only a certain amount. If you use too much, you do a full transformation, you can't come back, sort of thing. But yeah, so he's got like, you know, the wasp things, and like the bugs are much smarter than they thought, and something else is afoot. Like someone's clearly playing games. So that mission doesn't go well, but 2 of the people come back from it, and then the third mission, which is the main crux of the story, gets underway, and that's when they go with like 100 people with a big ship. There's basically a virus which is spreading around planet Earth, which has nothing like it. It's clearly come from Mars because of the shape and the format of it. It looks like it may have come from the giant cockroach people, but they can't cultivate it because all it does is it gets into the human body, it puts the person on a death path, and then jumps to another body. It doesn't reproduce itself, so you can't cultivate it in a lab. So they need to go to Mars and bring back one of these giant roach people to then cultivate it in them to then come up with an antidote.
Great.
And it does not go well. It is not going well. There's also like geopolitical stuff going on. Like one of the countries is ready to betray everyone, and you're always wondering who is a villain and who isn't, who has a double motive and agenda. The political intrigue of it is probably the most exciting part of it, because you never know who's going to turn on who. Like you think the Russian guy is going to be like a complete villain, and you think this guy from France is going to probably use an opportunity to run off with like, you know, equipment or something, and you never know who it's going to be. Like they do a really good job of misleading the reader. I've been very impressed so far, and once you get over the initial of the giant bug people, it's really good. But like I was reading it on the tablet, and I turned and showed it to Emma, and she just went, "Oh, what is that? Oh, no, no." So yeah, it's not nice. If you are squeamish about bugs, don't read it. I don't like roaches to begin with. Don't think anyone likes roaches, let's be honest here. But like, yeah, like, ugh. But the characters, like, there's a lady in this team in the third outing who's just such a badass. And then there's this guy, so I'm pretty sure she's like the daughter of one of the people who had the operation for the second mission, and she was conceived before he left, and somehow she's had some of the genetic alteration come over naturally. And there's a guy from Japan who's a similar thing, an orphan, but we don't know who the father is, and he's also had the genetic alteration come through. So the pair of them are actually like ridiculously overpowered compared to the rest of the people who have had the operation. So there's like a political undercurrent of like what some other nation wanting to capture them so they can make their own superhumans by default without needing the surgery, sort of thing.
And then what happens if you breed those ones?
Exactly. So like there's a lot, like and I'm wondering if we are going to then go for yet another time skip, another 20 years after this mission once the main one ends, because they've gone through this quite quickly, and there's pyramids on Mars as well, and you're like, where did they come from? Like, you know, like there's a lot of real like funny undertones, and obviously all of this is top secret, so you get to see the news reports on Earth before they leave going, are there pyramids on Mars? 1 hour special. Like, and it's just like, like it really plays into that whole idea of like the conspiracy theorist and like the big government sort of thing, but like, you know, it's set in the year 2500, so like we've come a long way, but not much has changed in the way society looks at the world, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's kind of fun. I'm really enjoying it, but as I said, not for everyone. I couldn't find it. I don't think this was in Shonen Jump originally, but you can get the physical book online. Otherwise, there are a lot of places to read it online for free. So I don't know whether that's legal or not, but hey, it's hard to find the prequel story in print, so that might be the best way for you to get access to it. So, yeah, there you go. Anyway, other than that, Yeah. Read these books.
Yeah.
We'll put them in the I'll put them in the episode description so you can find them. Not links to them. I'll just put the names there, and because obviously depending on what country you're in, Shonen Jump Out might not be available, for instance, in some countries in South America, for instance. So, but yeah, worth checking all three of these out. Obviously, mileage may vary on the last one depending on your comfortableness with bugs.
Well, the thing is, you go read that or watch it, or is there an anime for it yet?
I think there might be an anime. Yeah.
You go do that, and then you play Helldivers.
Yeah. Get it out your system. Or Space Marine 2, as you said.
Marines
Go after those
2.
Tyranids. Yeah.
Mass Effect with the what were they called? The cockroach ones with the big antennae.
I hate
Arachnids.
I hate the arachnids so much. Like, don't get me wrong, I understand the story. The story is pretty nice, but bugs. There's just something very much about, like, very primordial about bugs. Like, you know,
It's an instinctual.
yeah, like there's probably a whole like instinctual thing. Like the other thing as well is I haven't been watching much because I've been listening to Snow Crash, which is a novel written in like the 2000s, which is sort of like dystopian future. It's really good. Like it's very, very weird. It's kind of like a bit cyberpunky, border between like cyberpunk or like happening and like the downfall of like the greater United States becoming like run by corporations instead. And the whole first chapter is like you think the story's about a guy who's a pizza delivery guy, and it's not. It's just how you're introduced to him, and it's very much like when you think of the time it was written and how everyone was obsessed with Japanese culture at the time, and like, you know, it's so cool to have a hero with a katana. The guy's name is Hero Protagonist. It is Hiroyuki and Protagonist. He is half black, half Japanese. And he has a katana. And it is peak, like 2000s, like he's writing this for the edgelords. Like
Wow.
it's an amazing, it's where the idea of the metaverse came from. Like, this is the origin of the phrase. And like there's lots of little things in here where you can see like modern tech entrepreneurs have read this book and went, I could use that and no one will notice. Like, dude, this was the biggest selling sci-fi book from 2000 to 2006. Like, come on. Like, like, come on. So,
Have you seen that meme that was like, oh, sci-fi authors be like, oh, I'll create this thing in my story that's so bad nobody should ever create it. And then real life scientists are like, hey, that's cool, I'm going to make that.
Right? So, yeah, there's kind of funny, like the mono wheel, the idea of the skateboard with the one wheel.
Yeah.
It's from this. That's where it's come from, except this one's infinitely more interesting. It's like got like a smart wheel which has got lots of hexagons and for the wheel, and they're smart so they can deliver like the right height to go up a curve and not feel anything. Like, it's the origin of a lot of this interesting tech, and there are some cool ideas in here, but the world it's set in is horrible, and we should not be aiming for that world. Like the whole pizza delivery thing is like, you know, you have to deliver this pizza in 25 minutes or less since the order. Otherwise, like the mafia who runs the pizza thing, and because there is no United States and no laws anymore, they can do this. Uncle Enzo will have to come to this person and apologize and fly them there. So you do not want to be late, because if you are late and someone delivers a pizza late, that is... that's more than just getting fired. You will be killed by the mafia.
Imagine how expensive that pizza would be.
It's not expensive. It's a family. they have a pizza university. I'm not even kidding here. Like, it's just like,
See, when you were like, oh yeah, it's a sci-fi dystopian future pizza delivery guy, I was like, Futurama.
Well, look, it starts with that, and then like there's a girl, a younger girl who's like they call them. She's called YT, and they have like a harpoon which has got like a mag clamp on it, and they're couriers, and they grab onto vehicles going past on their skateboards, and like, you know, they
Still
harpoon them,
thinking
or
about
as they call them.
Futurama.
Yeah, curious.
They call them. They call them that you've been pooned. So yeah, it's a whole thing, and she ends up doing the pizza, and it gets delivered like with 3 seconds to spare and all that. But he ends up leaving the service, and there's, of course, like he was a big dude in tech back when the metaverse first started, and it's all about the idea of a snow crash is like, you crash to the desktop and get static on your computer screen, and it's whole, like, it just kind of goes, you're like, I thought this was about pizza delivery, and now it's gone to talk about Sumerian languages and stuff, and it's really good, and it's fascinating, and I think Kenny in particular would really like it, because it does a massive amount of world building, and it does... You know how like Tolkien does a little... I know I'm going way off tangent, guys. I'm sorry, but I know you know how Tolkien like talks like a little bit about a tree, and then he'll spend 5 pages talking about the tree. This guy does the same thing, but it's only for half a page, so you get enough context to then go on.
See, to me, this just sounds like the author was neurospicy.
Yes, very much, very much.
Like, hey, look at this little thing. Oh, wait, no, look at this little thing. Wait, over here.
Yeah, but it's been done in such a way that it really adds to the story, and I love it. I'm really impressed by it. Like, it's a standalone book. About halfway through it, I'm probably going to listen to the rest tonight while probably playing Cyberpunk. But yeah, like it's. Like if you like deep lore sci-fi, or if you enjoyed like Neuromancer, you'll like this. Like completely, I know, well tangent. Neuromancer like was kind of like the definitive cyberpunk book. So yeah. Anyway, if you've been reading or watching or listening to something interesting that is not our podcast, thanks. I'm sorry. I really like this book. It's really good. If you're into like the same sort of animes as me, you might like it. So there you go. But let us know in the comment section over on YouTube or on our socials if there's something you're interested in, and we might have a chance to check it out as well. But now let's get on to the main topic of this episode. It's time to talk about Look Back.
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
We'll be there on time. There's 20 minutes of ads.
Cinema Club.
Cute.
Good job,
Not
everyone.
Aaron and Tifa just making, love hearts at each other throughout the whole break. It's like, friendo.
I'm upset I didn't get to see Tifa last time.
I know.
was
Yeah,
like
that's true.
super burnt out.
Yeah, I'm
and
not
probably
surprised.
also burnt.
Yeah. Oh, look, we'll just have to go over to Melbourne. Oh, no.
I love you, Tifa, but I don't know about that. We got Starbucks here now.
We've got 2 now. We went up to a wedding north of Perth like last weekend, and that's where the other one's opening. And we're like, no, it's like Mindarie Arena. And you drive up the hill, and there's like in prime place in Mindarie after you come off the freeway, a massive Bunnings. You're like, I've arrived at Bunnings heaven, where all the tools are. Were you there? Are you a tool?
You said where all the tools are.
Yeah, but anyway, because Brendan works at Bunnings.
Ouch!
No, he's got all of the equipment because he makes cosplays. Anyway, that's where there was the next Starbucks, and we were like, oh, maybe we'll pull in. No, it's not in for another couple of weeks. But all the signs are up already, and like you can see people they're like, oh, I'm gonna try it next. It's gonna go. So exactly. For context, for those who aren't aware, in Perth, WA, we never had a Starbucks until now, because now they're pulling out of the eastern states because they're not making any money. So they go to WA where there's less.
I still don't think they're going to make very much money.
I don't either. I think they're going to be like a niche thing for their cold drinks during summer, and then during winter they'll go popular for like,
It's the merchandise. People
the
are
merch.
going for the merch.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, Starbucks, that's the thing. This has nothing to do. Sorry, we're real tangenty today. Look back. We're looking back at the origin of Starbucks. No, so Look Back is a one-shot manga written by Tatsuki Fujimoto, the creator of Chainsaw Man and Fire Punch. Fire Punch?
Yeah.
Fire Punch or Flame Fist?
Fire Punch.
Fire Punch,
Fire
yeah.
Punch.
Okay. So Tifa, I'm not doing a very good job of this. Tifa, please tell us what Look Back is about. You've read the manga, you've watched the film, you have more context of this than us, and I think you are kind of the lead expert when it comes to Chainsaw Man and manga.
So basically, Look Back is a film about 2 young girls. One of them is a manga artist at school and just draws the little 4-panel mangas. And they do that for their little school newspaper. And then one day they get asked by the teacher if they could give away one of their slots to another student. This student is doesn't leave the house, doesn't go to school, doesn't do anything. Yeah. And they're quite young as well. And so this kid who's kind of a bit egotistical about their skills because everyone's like, oh yeah, you're so good at this, blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, sure, whatever, because this kid surely can't do any better than me. And then it turns out they create fantastic art, and it kind of pushes the main character Fujino to either figure out like not doing this ever again or actually pursuing it further. And there's a lot of kind of allegories about how the manga industry works, about people that do make weekly mangas, monthly mangas, about how background art works and how, you know, character art works, and then stories and things like that. But basically, when they finish elementary school, they graduate, and so Fujino was asked to give the graduate certificate to this other girl who's been at home drawing manga, and realizes that they're quite similar and that this girl actually really looks up to Fujino, and they start creating manga together, which is really sweet, and they have a really good friendship. But then it kind of, the story does take a turn. But basically,
it's a gut punch,
called,
guys.
It's called Look Back because we're looking at different perspectives of something that has happened and what different pathways in life could have led them to as well. So
It does definitely kind of have a bit of a temporal twist to it, showing you two alternative paths that could have been taken in it, and it comes at like the height of emotion. You're just like, oh no, and then, oh, okay, so this is what would have happened. So this could have been a different, you know, point of view. But you know, it hurts. So something that not a lot of people realized from the outset, and this is something you told us about, Tifa, is that this is kind of a little autobiographical.
Yeah.
And if you have a look at the names of the girls, if you stick the names together, they create Fujimoto. So you've got Fujino and Kyomoto. So Fujimoto, and you stick the names together, that's the creator. So it's a little autobiographical. I'm hoping he didn't lose a friend to, you know, the situation which occurred in this, like to a falling out and stuff like that happened. But
I do know that the Dandadan creator was actually one of his background artists previously.
Oh.
So it's to do with a lot of friendships that he has had in this manga industry as well, especially because they were all so young, and we are getting manga artists younger and younger as well. And
this is true.
Both of them are around a similar age. I think the Dandadan author is younger than Fujimoto is, but there was like some discussions that it was probably about some of their friendship as well, and about like he probably did have a passing in either his family or friend group of someone who was not a manga artist, but it was kind of like his way potentially of exploring those feelings around that, and exploring his feelings around moving his, because we kind of see a parody of Chainsaw Man within this movie as well, and in the comics as well, about how he's moved from one section of Chainsaw Man to part 2, and how different that is and what that actually means, like losing part of that, especially with Shonen Jump pushing it to the like digital app rather than
the
print as well. So I'm sure
and
there's a lot of
it's interesting
feelings
as
about
well,
it.
like it shows how the sales are going as well, where it goes good, and drops off, and then comes back up, and then drops back off, and then, you know, I think it's probably a reflective way of sharing different details of his life without directly doing an Oshinoko where the parallels are very obvious.
I do think as well, because the names are like two parts of his names. They're like two parts of how he thinks about himself as well. And then obviously with all of that, maybe losing part of himself to the process of creating manga in this way as well. So, which,
I mean, is a thing that's been talked about a lot, isn't it? Like the way the manga industry operates, especially for a weekly manga, like it's brutal. Like, holy cow. Like, I know we like having our manga every week, but if it meant like I got it every 2 weeks instead, and it was a slightly higher quality and they could have a better balance of life, I'd be happy with that. But I also understand that means that they need to have more manga to offset that. And at the moment, it does seem, especially in Shonen Jump, which is why they've started doing the massive call out for young artists, it does seem like maybe they're lacking, now that some of the bigger shows have come to an end and bigger series have finished, that they're lacking the content to move forward, with it being a very full market with a lot of lot of competitors in it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of I feel like it was a really interesting look at like the manga industry from like a career progression point of view, and just like interesting that she's like, I don't want to be hunched over a desk my whole life, and then you see that is basically what it becomes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if you haven't seen anything about Look Back yet, the art style is beautiful. There's a very good, and I think this is probably stylized to look like the way the characters' two arts differentiate. The character art is very different from the scenery and environments. The scenery and environments are beautiful, like they're so detailed. And then the art style of the characters is very much akin to what you see in the Chainsaw Man anime, like the style of the characters. And it's got a good contrast.
Yeah, I definitely think as well that when you compare the Chainsaw Man manga to the Chainsaw Man anime, I think that you can see that it's been very Mappa-fied, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but you sometimes with Mappa, some of the personality of the creator has been taken out of it because of the way that they're animating, which obviously has to do with a lot of very different things. But I feel like with this one, it looks exactly how the manga looks. It looks like his personality has been brought onto the screen, and it's like, it looks like he's animated it himself, which I don't think is true, but it just visually looks exactly the same. But
he is listed as one of the like the directors and producers for it, which is good to see, because that means that he probably had a hand in making sure it stayed the same.
Well, some cinemas showed an extra part to it, which was an interview with the voice actors and the producer for it. And one of the key points that the producer was saying was he wanted to keep it very similar to the manga.
Yeah.
And he wasn't sure how he could do that. And he touched base with the creator a lot of times regarding a lot of things. And there were a lot of points where he specifically went into the effects that they would use in that manga and transitioned them into the anime to sort of bring that feel from the manga, because there wasn't that much to work with. So to really bring that forth into there, he put a lot of effort to bring that.
We should also, because Ked sent us through a couple of lines because he's stuck at work today, unfortunately. But he sent us through a couple of lines on what his take was because he watched it last night. And he says the movie had all the subtle, wordless little storytelling elements of classic cinema. It knew how to slow down and use silence to punctuate emotional beats. And the bit with the girl skipping through the rain was magnificent. And that it'll be an iconic image people think of when they look back at Look Back. So
that was another thing that the art director was talking about. He's like, normally this sort of scene you wouldn't do.
No.
And you wouldn't put this much into it. But because of how important it is to convey the emotions that she's feeling, they really
did such a good job in that scene. Like, you can see, like, she's battling between her happiness of someone acknowledging her with her inner frustrations of that person being able to draw better than her, to, like, her frustration to the fact that she stopped making content for a period. Like, you know, there's a lot of emotions broiling around in that scene, and you can tell, and it's so well done. Like,
it is,
I was watching, I'm like, I don't know what to take from this. Like, there's so much going on. Like, yeah, it's a beautiful scene. This is fairly early. This is about like the 20-minute mark. So, like, yeah, there's a lot in this film that builds up very quickly. And there is a very obvious, like, there's a peak and then there's a lull as things happen. Then there's another really high peak and then another lull and then another high peak to lead into the end. And it doesn't so much follow the 3-act style as traditional cinema does, which is good because it doesn't have the time to do so. But the story feels very well paced. Like, over that 50 minutes. Like, if they had to try to make this 2 hours, it wouldn't have worked.
There's a few parts I felt like they could have fleshed it out a bit better. Like, all of a sudden it goes from like, oh, you're my mentor, and then the skipping, and then they're doing it together.
Yeah, but then in the end, when it was the flashbacking of it, you see the process of how that happened.
Yeah.
So I think it was probably a choice on how they were going to do the narrative of it, so it becomes more of part of the reflection of how that friendship evolved, as opposed to telling it at the beginning.
I think it's
so that was
also
probably a choice.
It's the difference between how the two girls see each other as well. So I think, yeah, definitely purposeful. I think that Fujino probably kind of skips over a lot of things, as you can see that she's more about the story and about those, like, characters and stuff like that, but she's not the one that remembers the details, whereas the background artist remembers all the details. So you see all the details come forward when you see the story from, like, kind of more their perspective as well. So
Yeah, it definitely kind of reflects their art style as well, which is, it's actually a really good way of looking at, like, when it's being told, the story's being told from Fujino's perspective, it's a lot more paced. It's like the highlight reel, if you will. Whereas with Kyomoto, it's a lot more, here are the moments which felt important to me.
The things that really made it what it is.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, that's a really good way of putting it. And I think you're right. This probably was a very conscious decision when they were making the film. It's like this is the way we will tell it in this part because this character feels like the lead character, and in this part the other character feels like the lead character. So we'll tell it from a different style of storytelling.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get one of the things I did really like about this is you do get to see a lot of aspects of the manga creating process and how people go on to become artists. Like, I can't draw to save my life with like pen and pencil. Like, I can do stuff on a computer, but let's be honest, it's an assisted thing. I'm still not using a drawing pen or anything. I can create graphic design stuff, not art. Whereas this goes through like the looking at the anatomy in books and learning how you would draw a foot or a skeleton to then position a body around it. And like for me, I would never have considered that part of the drawing process. It completely opened up a whole new view of how the process of these artists is.
You have to learn the rules to break them. And I've seen a lot of people talk about that as well within this film, of how they set up the beginning of the film with a very, very basic, like the 4 manga panels essentially, but as a little animated thing. And those showcase the rules of how you would animate, and then they break it later on as well. So it kind of shows that in both the process that Fujino and Kyomoto go through as manga artists, as well as the process of the animation of the film itself.
One of the things that made me laugh the most, though, was that 4-panel comic she makes at the start.
Yeah.
And the fact that the meteor had the lips.
Yes.
Yeah.
Coming in is like,
I watched it in cinema. The whole cinema was laughing. Everyone was so good in the cinema. They were laughing like at the best points, and they were crying. You could hear people cry and gasp and, all that kind of stuff. It was really great.
Yeah. No, this is like amazing. It's... Oh, actually, the soundtrack.
Yes.
Also,
my
the use
God.
of silence, the use of no soundtrack as well. Very
Yeah, as
good.
Ken pointed out, like the soundtrack was used perfectly to lift up the moments, and then they utilized silence properly, which is something we see so rarely these days in film. They use silence properly to punctuate the moment, to for moments of intense emotion or intense focus or like reflection, so you can like then, without using any audio, process from the animation what is going through the person's head. It's like, as Kenny said, this was like all the hits of like, and the beats that you would take from like a quality high-end film. Like, they did amazing with the way they produced this.
I think that's something Fujimoto has always been influenced by is cinema. That's why his motive in all of his works is 2 people or more sitting in a cinema in every single one of his works. And it's something like in Chainsaw Man, in the manga, at the beginning of like the chapters, there's like a quote from different films, basically.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of references in the Chainsaw Man anime to a lot of films. So I think that when he was probably looking at how to create this as a film, or like allowing other people to adapt it as well, he shared a lot of those influences. So
yeah, and I mean, also, like, we discussed this before, but the opening for Chainsaw Man has a lot of film references within it. And like the scene of them all sitting in the cinema sharing like popcorn and stuff like that, like, so good. Like, it fits the vibe of it really well, and it makes a lot of sense knowing his love for cinema, why this works so well. So yeah, but look, either way, watch it. It's like,
For sure.
It's like 50 minutes, so that's 2 and a bit episodes of your normal anime. It's on Amazon Prime worldwide. There will be, obviously, if Amazon Prime's not available in your area, there will be other alternatives, but it's really worth it. There is a dub if you're not a subtitles person. I've been told it's very good, but I did watch it in Japanese. And it's worth like spending like an hour watching it and just experiencing it and observing and absorbing stuff. I thought it wouldn't be as good on like just my home TV, which is a 55-inch. So it's not like, a colossal screen like a cinema screen. It's kind of your standard for most homes now. And it was still beautiful. Like, you could still see so much and experience so much because of the way the styling is done. So even if you're not able to see it in the cinema, watching it at home is still an incredible experience. So
For sure.
yeah. Though the only thing we have is don't watch it on a phone.
Don't watch it on a phone.
Yeah, because Aaron did at work. And
There's a lot of like small shaky details that you miss. Like towards the end with the pickaxe, when it hits the stairs, you can see it vibrating. Could not see that on the phone.
Yeah, so the biggest screen you can find, but if it's just your normal TV, that's probably enough. Like it's just you don't want that little the little window. It's not enough. Yeah. But look, go watch it. From all of us at the podcast, we can all recommend it. It's a beautiful, it's a visual feast. It's an emotional ride. It's,
It feels like a genuine friendship. Like,
Yeah.
A lot of movies, it's like, they're friends, don't worry about it anyway. But this, you deep dive into the friendship.
Yeah, exactly. It also, and Tifa and I have repeatedly said this, the fact that the lead characters are both female was probably a very precise choice by Fujimoto, because he seems to be really good at writing female characters and not so good at writing male characters. Admittedly, that is changing in recent chapters of Chainsaw Man. Like, Denji is getting a lot more depth to him and you're learning a lot more about him. But up until this point, female characters in all of his books, like Fire Punch, the male character hardly spoke. All the female side characters were much more interesting and much deeper characters. And the same thing was the case for Chainsaw Man. Like, Power and Machina and all that were much more deep and interesting characters. So, it's interesting that he chose to go with two girls for this story.
I feel like with women especially, it's easier to connect with the emotions, whereas if it had been two men, I feel like it would have been very...
I mean, you would be questioning if potentially it was, potentially if there was more to the relationship because of the way they behave, but with it being girl characters and young girls, like that type of, closeness in a friendship is normal when you're in like primary school, whereas if it was boys, people would be a bit weirded out by it, I think.
For sure.
Yeah.
I also think that it's quite interesting that Fujimoto is known for writing more better female characters, considering over the past decades, number one criticism of most mangaka is they don't know how to write female characters, and even those authors themselves are like, I don't know how to write a female character. So to have an author that knows that they can write female characters well and specifically choose to write those female characters is quite interesting as well. So
he writes strong, beautiful female characters. Like it's not... This is the thing, there's often a difficult line to balance between femininity and strength, and a lot of mangaka fail on that. There is a balance to be found there, and this is obviously talking about for your bulk standard female character, not one who has a more varied background. So for him to be able to write these characters, I'm really interested to see what he does after Chainsaw Man. Don't get me wrong, I'm enjoying Chainsaw Man, but as his skill at writing male characters and female characters is developing as Chainsaw Man goes on, as his writing style is developing and becoming more refined, I think his next book, whatever it is going to be incredible. Even if it's just a one-shot, this has given me such a wider view of Fujimoto as a creator. I'm excited.
I said the one shot was really good.
You did. The more I've been reading, I know I've been a bit rude about Denji in Chainsaw Man, but the more I've read, and I'm completely up to date on it, it's the more I understand the process he's doing with Denji as a character.
For sure.
He has serious growth over that process, and it's not just the growth of Denji, it's the growth of him as writing Denji as well. So this is Yeah, I'm excited. Can you tell? Like, there's going to be some.
Kyle.
No, we've already had this discussion. I'm sore and old.
Okay.
That is my new name. SAO. Oh no.
Oh my god.
Anyway, look, go watch Look Back. It's a beautiful, fabulous film. It's incredibly well animated. It's got all the right beats to it. It uses every element of itself to tell the story. There's nothing missing. There's nothing short there. And it will leave you thinking about it, I'd say, for days, weeks to come after you finish it. And you might even want to go back and watch it again, even though you know what's going to happen, to look for some of these smaller elements that appear throughout it. But either way, check it out. Let's go talk about some news.
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
Tonight on Anime Communique.
Great story, compelling and rich.
Nothing brings ratings up like a little controversy.
Controversy number 1. Crunchyroll states it's investigating the situation after voice actor claims company opened his mail and gave away contents. We talked about this last episode. David Wald, who has voice acted on several big Crunchyroll shows, claims that the company opened private mail, as in physical letters, threw away the letters and gave the contents to staff. And Crunchyroll now do say that they are investigating the situation after the voice actor and ADR director David Wald claimed on Twitter that it happened. Mail fraud in the US is pretty serious, so this is like not what we were expected to be talking about in relation to Crunchyroll, but it does kind of seem like they're lurching from one controversy to the next at the moment. So look, their response was about 2 weeks ago, and we haven't heard anything since. And this is going to be kind of similar to, like, they were investigating the situation with Crunchyroll Australia, and then crickets. So look, hopefully we'll hear from Wald if they do actually sort anything out for him, if he does receive any of the stuff that's gone missing. Because I don't think Crunchyroll will be willing to put out publicly what's happened here on the back end. But either way, don't nick people's stuff that's not intended for you. It's not okay. And don't lowball people on Facebook for stuff you're selling.
We're getting personal there.
We're getting real personal here. I'm selling stuff. It's like, hey, this is retailing for $300. Would you take $50? What do you think? Let's go on to weird controversy number 2. This one we will talk a bit more about. That was more just a mini update. Jimmy Mickle, who you might know from Sweet Tooth, he's the showrunner there. He is apparently going to be writing and directing a live-action LA Gundam film. This has apparently come out from Deadline. The people, they did previously have the guy who did Kong Skull Island, which is Jordan Vogt Roberts, was announced as the director and executive producer for the film, along with comic book author Brian K. Vaught, who did Why the Last Man, Ex Machina, and The Runaways. But apparently everything's changed. So, yeah, we're not sure what's going on here. It is still apparently being produced over at Legendary Pictures, I think, through the Nightshade Company. But, yeah, look, this started in 2018, I think it was, when it was first, like, the rights were taken. And I think this might be like Akira, where it is in production hell forever at this rate. So, like...
I just want one thing from it, and I want them to use the actual Gundam from Japan.
Yeah.
In
Like
at least
giant
one scene. In one scene.
Like, that would be really cool. But... apparently, they're aiming to start production in early 2025. We'll see if that actually happens. In the meantime, there's another couple of Gundam films coming out for that.
Gundam never ends.
That Gundam it doesn't. Like that's what it is.
Gundam's just here forever.
Yeah.
Gundams and cockroaches.
No, I hate you. How dare you? But I do love you. So look, this is going to be directed by Sunrise and Legendary Pictures. We'll see what happens if there's any updates. This is the latest change because we haven't heard anything since 2021, which was when the original team was announced. And then, yeah, it's... look, it could go either way. We'll see. But look, in the meantime, go watch the new Gundam series on Netflix, which is CG. That's interesting. Okay, third controversy. It's not anime. New Godzilla film has been greenlit. This is with the team from Godzilla -1, which if you haven't seen it, it's back in cinemas. Go see it. Holy cow. Oh. So yeah, we're going to go back and see it in the cinemas.
What do you mean back? I didn't see it the first time.
Neither did I, but it was amazing. And it won lots of stuff, and I've seen it since, and I want to see it on the big screen. It's going to be beautiful, with additional footage as well.
I just want a dub so that I can take Brendan.
Yeah, because Brendan's not good with the subs. So yeah, they've done on the Godzilla's official Twitter. This was about a week ago. They've got an emergency announcement video, which announces basically that they're returning, and there's a new Godzilla film. It has been greenlit. We don't know if this is going to be like dubbed Godzilla -2 or something like that. Whether it's going to be like forward in time, backwards in time, alternative.
Godzilla divided by 1.
Then +1, and then ×1. And
1 squared.
Yeah, we've got options. Math.
Those are just Ed Sheeran albums.
Yes, exactly, right? It's all math.
Gonna introduce imaginary numbers into it.
No, I don't want that. So yeah, Yamazaki shared a video as well. He's the director. So there's going to be a lot coming up around this, and it is pop culture, Japan, so it is in our remit. We love Godzilla films here. We think they're good fun. Even the American ones, like the American ones, you were going for giant monsters.
Yes,
that's what you're going for. You're going for battle royale.
New Empire.
Yeah, right. You're going for battle royale. That's what you're here for. Giant monsters making a mess of the world, and we're the bystanders. Japan, you go for like epic storytelling, and yes, like it's so good. So anyway, that's going to be, we'll probably have more about that. We do need to do another Godzilla episode. Maybe we'll do that as like a Patreon special or something like that, because it's not really kind of in our standard remit, or just as an episode extra. Because look, we love Godzilla here. Like,
I like monkey beating monkeys with another monkey.
Yeah, and kaiju beating other kaiju with other kaiju. So let's get on to some more anime-centric stuff. So Pompo the Cinephile, we've talked about this previously, and we should do an episode on it because it is a beautiful film. The director of Pompo the Cinephile, Takayuki Hirao, has teased a new anime with concept art, a new anime film. It does look like the Pompo staff are reuniting this, and the tentative title at the moment, the working title, is Wasted Chef. Now, I'm hoping that means his talent is being wasted and not that he's drunk in the kitchen. So,
Drunk Gordon Ramsay, the movie.
Oh my god, yes.
I'd watch that. Yes. Make this happen, people.
Sounds good.
On the note of films that should happen, I saw a brilliant idea on Facebook, and someone's like, I had this prompt. It's a writer. He sent this to his agent as a joke, and it's basically like, working in a dead-end job, grandma dies, you're the sole inheritor, you inherit her garlic bread company in like a small town. Turns out it's nothing like that. The town is full of vampires, and she is the sole bastion of defense with garlic bread, and they're a vampire hunter family. It's like, yes, write it. And he's like, not gonna lie, I kind of want to write this now. I'm like, I'd read it, I'd watch it. Like, doesn't that sound great?
Oh man, I'm hungry for
that would be
garlic.
really fun.
I could
think
eat,
they
actually.
could do a great comedy with that.
Yeah. Shaun of the Dead sort of style. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, so Pompo the Cinephile obviously did really well. It won a lot of awards and got a lot of clout internationally when it came out. We actually played it at Hoshicon last 2023, last year. So as a screening, and it was really well received. It's so good. Like, if you haven't seen Pompo the Cinephile, watch it. We should do there's a episode I need to put down for it. Don't mind me.
Don't mind me just taking notes mid-episode. So, Tifa, what's been happening?
I watched all 3 episodes of Arcane.
Oh, nice.
Is there only 3 out so far, or 3 total for the season?
Next Saturday there'll be another 3, and then the Saturday after there's another 3.
So this is the League of Legends based anime type show on Netflix. Yeah. So new season started. That's out as well. So that's also worth checking. High Dive has added Ninja Scroll, the anime film from 1993, Madhouse. Start streaming on November 12th, so it should be the day after we go live on this episode. This is going to be the first time it has ended up on the first time it ends up on a streaming service in its full uncensored original version, and it is also getting a the full original English dub is being supplied with it as well, which is kind of a big deal because like getting hold of that was a pain in the butt. They did screen a 30th anniversary release in cinemas in September, and this, I believe, is the same version of it where they've had it, remastered with the upscaled, like they got the original film and upscaled it and yada yada yada. So it looks really good. If you haven't seen it, it is very full on. It is not a family friendly film, this one. So just be aware that this is definitely not one for the kiddies. This is a hard R, like. Yeah.
No, we don't use that phrase.
I'm surely missing some context here. Am I? Okay. Well,
we'll address that later.
Yeah, okay. Well, look, it's rated R18 plus for a very good reason.
That's how we say it. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. All right, you will have to explain to me. Apologies if I did offend anyone because I'm not aware of this context. I'm an old man.
Yeah, look, there's nudity, there's violence, it ticks all
there's
the
adult
R-rated
themes.
violence.
Yeah, there's a lot. Okay, anyway, moving on from that controversy, Kaya-chan wa Kawakunai manga is getting a TV anime. This is a horror action manga which centers on a problem child at a nursery school who apparently has links to demonic and horrifying things. Like yokai and so forth. It's getting a TV anime. It translates as Kaya isn't scared or Kaya isn't scary. It's unclear which one this sits to. I think it might be she isn't scared because she honestly doesn't look bothered at all about all the creepy demons behind her. So
I mean, if it's happening like your whole life, then you don't know any better.
So yeah, she's a famous problem child, and a caretaker at the school comes to learn that Kaya has hidden abilities. This actually launched in 2022. It's got 6 volumes out now. I might be checking this out tonight now because it sounds really fascinating. Yeah.
It sounds kind of similar to that, what was that one where the kid lives alone?
Oh,
Katara
okay, no.
Yeah.
No, I think this is actually much more in line with the one where it was like the Eki horror with the girl who like is being haunted all the time and she can see all the spirits and stuff, just obviously without the ecchi elements. So yeah.
You were so disappointed by that.
It got better.
Okay.
It did get better. Like what I was really disappointed at the first 4 episodes, but episode 5 just did a full U-turn and it was exceptional from then. Like there was you could see where all these things were being pulled together from, and they kind of were playing down the eroticism and focusing much more on the story. And then like when it did occur, it felt natural from then on, whereas before it felt like they were going for shock value. So yeah, like I can't remember what it's called, and it's going to drive me up the wall trying to remember it. But like, yeah, it's the girl who can like see all of the horrible things and has to pretend she's not fazed by all these spirits and things.
I'm sure Emma could tell you.
Oh, 100%, straight away, like no question. And I think this will be a series for her. I think she'll really like this because she is my spooky girl. So there you go.
Your spooky wife.
My spooky wife. I got married. Anyway, that's going to be... we don't have a release date yet, I don't think, but likely next year, like mid to late next year if we're only hearing about it now with no release date. So, yeah. The creator of Gantz, Hiroya Oku, he is working on a new manga. I don't think he's written anything since he did Gantz E, which is the Gantz Edo period spin-off. So he did the writing for it, but not the art. It was Jin Kagetsu who did that. That started in 2020, and I think that's almost finished. But yeah, apparently he's got the story in his head. He's itching to draw it and write it out soon. So hopefully we'll have some more beautiful, like, wildly unhinged sci-fi stories coming out of his office soon. So that could be good. All right, let's talk about anime series. There's a lot of new anime that's been announced.
Wait,
what
we're
have we been doing this whole time?
I know. This whole time I've been talking about manga and everything else.
Oh my goodness, it's an anime show.
No, right? Okay. So, does everyone remember a show from a couple of seasons back called Hokkaido Girls Are Super Adorable?
Yes.
Yeah. I watched it. It's very cute. But it is very much propaganda for Hokkaido to get you to go to Hokkaido.
To meet the girls who are super cute?
Yes.
Oh.
I mean, look, Gyaru girls are kind of cute. So, like...
Tifa, you just came back from Japan. Are the Hokkaido girls super cute?
I did not go to Hokkaido.
Tokyo
But if you
girls
want to
super
meet
cute?
a lot of girls, go to Koreatown in Japan.
Yeah, in Tokyo. Yeah.
Tiff's pro
it's okay,
Japanese
yeah.
dating tips.
Yeah. If you want to meet Japanese girls, go to Korea. Wait.
Yeah, there's only girls.
That's
There's
not
like
right.
there's like no guys there for whatever reason. But Koreatown in Shinjuku, there's a lot of girls. There's a lot of very sus looking things that have like cardboard cutouts of BTS members, and I'm like, girls, you probably shouldn't go in there. But
Has it got like muscle cafes and stuff, like, female oriented
Yeah.
places? That might make sense. Okay, yeah. All right.
I mean, they have a lot of boy hosts there as well. Like, we saw them walking down the street and they were giving out like little flyers and stuff like that.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, we've now got the other end of it, which is Okutsuri fell in love with an Okinawan girl, but I just wish I knew what she was saying because of the dialect. So this has had its new visual announced, the opening song confirmed, where they've got an Okinawan band doing it, which is cool. I believe this is debuting in January 2025. The art style is definitely a bit more chibi youthfulness than we saw for Hokkaido Gals. This one's definitely, it feels like they are a lot younger visually. They look like they could be middle schoolers sort of thing, whereas Hokkaido was definitely high school sort of thing. But this is going to be on Crunchyroll worldwide, and it is, again, this is going to be to get people to go to Okinawa, which I am totally okay with them doing this. Like, we've had one for Kumamoto as well, like, come to this area, there's beautiful this and that and all these things. And it's like, you know what? Yes, promote more areas outside of Tokyo so people go and experience them. Like, I'm down for that.
Isn't that what Eurocamp was?
Yes, it is. But a lot of Eurocamp stuff is based around the Mount Fuji area. So it is still fairly central. So not to put it down. Actually, on that note, Laid Back Camp Season 4 has been announced. It's going to debut on... No, it's not. That's when the last one debuted. So there you go.
Hey,
so
reliable news.
We had the third season in April. This one is going to be a little bit later than that by the looks of it. They don't have a date yet, and if they don't have a date yet, it's probably not going to be in the first 2 quarters of next year, considering where we are in the year at this point. So we will be getting more Eurocamp. We don't have much details on it. It does look like it is still going to the same studio. So they changed from C Station to 8-bit. 8-bit is the studio which does Reincarnated as a Slime.
Oh, okay.
Right.
I feel like when they did that, the art style changed, and I'm not as big a fan of it. Neither was Kenny, and they also have used all of the manga content that they've got. So I'm not too sure. Like, they were finished with all the manga content when they were halfway through season 3. Oh. So we're now in completely uncharted territory here. So I don't know what's going to be the go
best
here.
place to go camping.
Look, the camping locations are still going to be fantastic, and it's still going to be beautiful, but it's not necessarily going to have the same narrative style as the previous ones, because they're now having to make up stories. Like, don't get me wrong, Afro the creator is still involved, but it's, when you've got a manga to work from, you can adapt a lot more, and you've got a lot more ideas on where it needs to end. For this, they don't really seem to. It felt like the last season didn't have as much direction, or it didn't have this is where we're going to end up sort of thing. So hopefully for this one, they have like an overarching idea, like, we're going to explore this region, and this is how we're going to do it, and these are the locations we want to use, and this is why. So hopefully it's a bit more directed, if that makes sense. But yeah, anyway, Laid Back Camp Season 4 coming soon. Beastars final season is landing on December 5th on Netflix. So that's going to be a big one. As well. They've got a final trailer out for it. A lot of the returning cast members are coming through, along with several new announced members. Go-Go Loser Ranger Season 2 has been given a April 2025 release date, which is looking very good. There's also a teaser visual and a short trailer for it as well that you can check out. I'm very interested to see how this goes. This was from, 2 seasons? April? No. Yeah, probably, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
April quarter sounds about right when it came out. This is just so much fun. Think Power Rangers, but the Power Rangers are evil and the putties are trying to rebel and get their own life. It's so good. The music is also just so good as well. So Can recommend. Toilet Bound Hanako Season 2. Toilet Bound Hanako-kun Season 2 proper. Not the weird of whatever that thing Crunchyroll put together was. Yeah, the OVA series. This is apparently going to debut on January 12. So that's looking really good. Same studio by the looks of it. Art style has stayed the same, which is what it needs to. It needs to be that bombastic, eye-bleeding type of, wow, I need to sit in a brightly lit room to watch this. Like traditional anime, you know. And there has been an interesting new anime announced, which kind of sounds like it could be a bit of fun. It's called I'm Living with an Otaku Neat Kunoichi. So, ninja. That's going to debut on January 4th. It's from a manga adaptation. It's looking pretty interesting. I don't know what else to say about it, but it is what it says on the tin. Like, I'm old. So the manga centers on Tsukasa, a normal salaryman who was attacked one night by demons and saved by a genius Kunoichi named, am I saying that right? Kunoichi boy. Genius Kunoichi named Shizuri. In her off time, though, she is a lazy otaku neat. Tsukasa and Shizuri end up living together, with Tsukasa using his homemaking skills to pamper Shizuri as she continues to serve as his bodyguard. It sounds really cute and sweet. There's number 9 released the 10th volume of the manga digitally on March 2023. Volumes are shorter than normal volumes, and Katakawa is publishing it in a compiled volume in print. The 4th volume is out in December. Now, it looks really cute. It looks really fun. Hopefully it doesn't, have a weird undertone to it. So we never know with these types of shows. Like, it can go either way. It can be really cute, or the author can just be really unhinged. So yeah. Now we're going to end on a bit of an odd one. Mm-hmm. It's about Haruhi Suzumiya. They've launched a crowdfunding campaign. It's running from November 15th to January 15th. To crowdfund a new song and music video for the franchise. They are aiming to raise 10 million yen, which is about $65,000 on the Campfire website, to pay for a new song and accompanying music video for the franchise featuring Haruhi Miyazaki and the rest of the team. They've been promoting it pretty heavily on Twitter/X. They've got an initial 10 million yen goal for the video. Will fund the new song featuring Haruhi, Mikuru, and Nagato, with the music video featuring a 3D model of Haruhi dancing. If the campaign features 15 million yen, they will add 3D models of the other two. And there's Akihata and Tomokazu Tashiro are the songwriters of the anime's heroic, iconic Hare Hare Yukai ending theme song. They're going to work on the new song, working basically in their standard positions as composers and lyricists. So yeah, there's quite a lot of info around this. We're not really sure why this has happened now.
Or why it's being crowdfunded as well.
Yeah. So also, the fact that they're using 3D models as well is a bit concerning. It kind of suggests that none of the studios wanted to get involved in it. So maybe they're considering Haruhi too old, content-wise, or...
It might just be like it'd be easier if they're doing a music video to get a 3D model rigged up for it.
Yeah.
But I do wonder, right, so they announced the new, like, Haruhi chapter or story or whatever it was.
Recently.
Like, that little extra thing recently, which is being done with, I believe, the original, like, publishing studio is still publishing it. So I wonder why they wouldn't necessarily pick this up.
Well, something of note is that
the
project will also involve the creation of a new original voice drama starring the SOS Brigade cast members as a backer's reward as well. It doesn't necessarily specify who the voice actors will be. At least not in the release I'm looking at, but I'm sure there'll be more details on that. And this does seem to be linked into that new volume, but obviously being the first volume in 4 years is kind of a bit of a big deal, and you'd think this would have been announced alongside it if it had been planned as part of it ahead. Maybe they weren't expecting as big of a sales spike on this new volume. Maybe it just went well beyond their expectations. They thought, well, maybe these other projects, we can use it to gauge whether people would be interested in even more content from it. Because, I mean, if this goes really well, then they've got, a potential opening sequence or closing sequence for a new anime.
That's true.
So... Like, you never know. But at this point, nothing official has been released in relation to any new content outside of this. So, who knows? It's still weird, though.
Yeah.
There's a lot of little one-shots that have been released, but nothing massive until the big new volume, and that was it. So, who knows? Either way, if you're a Harui fan, that's more Harui content on the way for you. It might be a little weird, but it's...
That's what you signed up for in the first place.
What he said. Have you read Harui? Woof. Have you watched it? Anyway, that's where we're going to leave the anime news. We'll be back in a moment.
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
Chug, 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 chug,
No,
chug,
no.
chug.
Oh.
The
Had too much
heartburn.
cola. Yeah. You made me giggle during it, so it was like, bubbles. That's where we're going to leave things before I apparently do a Coca-Cola fountain.
Confirmed Kyle is not Frankie.
Look, thank you so much for listening and watching. Next time, this year marks the 25th anniversary of the Zoids franchise and the anime. Now, we thought something bigger was going to happen. September marked a new thing, and they did some collab figurines and stuff like that, and that's kind of been it. So we're going to do our own thing.
Well, the collabs they did were pretty big name collabs. There was Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
There was Transformers.
Oh, I forgot about the Transformers one, actually.
There was, what was the other one? The model kit one.
Yeah.
Yes,
It was like an existing model kit one, which they crossed over with.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, there are some cool products out there, but as far as from a multimedia consumer standpoint, instead of buying things for the experience, there hasn't been much, at least not outside of Japan. There have been a couple of little events here and there, but nothing massive. So there's been no new animes announced, no new games or projects announced.
They also recently announced Digimon VPET crossover.
That's what it was, yeah. So there's a lot of crossovers. So let's ignore all that and talk about the actual franchise instead of who they're buddying up with. So that's the plan for the next episode. Then after that, it's our final episode of the year, and I think we're gonna make this more of an annual thing we do, because we did do this originally in the first couple of seasons, and we're gonna have an anime hot pot episode. And what that is we each bring in our own show to talk about, and we tell you about it, and it's always something from the back catalog that we love and want other people to experience. And we've talked about Dororo in the past and a few other great shows. I think it's a good opportunity to showcase some of the shows that we really enjoy without having to stick to this is airing at the moment sort of franchise sort of thing. Also, it means we don't have to go out and watch something during the busiest time of the year. So that's a positive.
For sure.
So look, if you have enjoyed what you've heard, make sure you subscribe so you can get these next couple of episodes as we go ahead. And if you're listening on YouTube, do the buttons and things. Behind the subscribe button this time is a can of Coke.
Oh.
It may be shaken, so you might have to let it rest for a while, but if you press that subscribe button, you may have a giant can of Coca-Cola pop out of your screen and land on your desk. Make sure you've got tissues handy, because it will be open. I don't know where I'm going with this.
Is it that one specifically?
It is. This can specifically is going to end up on your desk. So good luck. Now, as previously mentioned, we do have a Patreon as well. If you'd like to get access to additional content, if enough of our ramblings here is not enough for you, then we have more.
And outtakes.
And outtakes as well. And we do have some Patreon exclusive episodes as well. It all can be set up so you can access all of it through your podcasting app or through a video service as well. So there's lots of ways to view it. It starts from $1 a month, which, gets you access to, over 100 episodes of back catalog now, which is huge. Yeah, I know, right?
No, I just realized what I'm going to bring to the anime hot pot.
Okay. Yeah, I'm scared too. So look, there's over 100 different outtakes and other bits. We have how the episode really ends when we have to edit it and stuff like that. We've got videos of us goofing around in outtakes and stuff as well, between things. There's a lot on there that's worth checking out. All the money goes back into the podcast. We're not using it to pay ourselves a wage. The money's currently being put forward towards the website, which I've started work on finally. It's going to be basic. It's going to be Squarespace, but hey, you'll be able to find it. Who would have thought? So yeah, as always, big thank you to those Patreon members who are supporting us. If you'd like to support us and get access to that content, details are below, including access to the pre-show podcast, which is always unhinged and crazy. And if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed on whatever social media platforms you use. Just so everyone's aware, we've been saying it this year and throughout the year, but we are retiring our X-Twitter end of this year. That'll be the last time we use it. So if you are using that platform, have a look for us on some of your other platforms, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, or Discord. Those are going to be our main ports of call going forward. And we will have links to those, obviously, on our Twitter/X platform once that does go down, which will be end of the year. But yeah, that's kind of it. We've got the next couple planned out, and then we'll have a bit of a break for a couple of weeks for Christmas and New Year and all that, and then we'll be back with preview for the new season before we launch into our big anime awards in late January. It's going to be good fun. But yeah, look, thank you so much for listening. It's been great fun. We have been very rambly. I've been very tangenty today. I do apologize. But
it's the Red Bull.
It is the Red Bull and the cola and the lack of sleep and the everything.
And Aaron being here.
Yes. I need to give you your clothes back. That sounds wrong. They're left over from the wedding. That sounds even worse.
I got naked in his hotel room and showered.
Yes. We saw each other in our undies. It's because we were both getting ready for suits.
There was lots of meat.
You might say there was a sausage platter, which there was. It was we had a platter full of salami and other associated sliced meats. It's just so bad. Why am I doing this? All right, that's it. We're wrapping up. Thank you so much for listening. You've been listening to Kawaii-Fi Radio. I've been Kyle. Aaron and Tifa have been fantastic. Thanks for sticking with us, and until next time, watch some anime! That's not the sausage party I was going to talk about.